Okay, here we go. We got the LA Lakers and the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. Listen, hold on 1 second. The LA Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. What happened to the Clippers? What happened to the LA Clippers, the matchup everybody's been waiting to see since Kawhi Leonard signed with the Clippers and spurring the Lakers in the summer? What happened to this big LA hallway series? The Battle of Stapleton. What happened to the Lakers versus the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals? Didn't the Clippers have a 3-1 lead? Weren't they up double-digit points in back-to-back games? What happened? Listen, I don't know about you, and first of all, let me be very clear. I'm not taking a shot at the Denver Nuggets because that is a very good team. They're well coached. They got an up-and-coming all-star / superstar Jamal Murray. They got one of the top 2 centers, if not the best center in the entire NBA in Nikola Jokic. But come on, man. This Clipper team is loaded. It's what I've heard all season. Doc Rivers, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, 6-man Lou Williams, 6-man Montrezl Harrell. Like, this team was supposed to be in the Western Conference Finals going up against the LA Lakers. We're supposed to be seeing that tonight. But instead, we've got the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. Game 1 tonight. So listen, on this journey, I'm gonna break down the series of the Western Conference Finals, but not only am I gonna do that, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think went wrong with this Clippers team. Because I think I've been saying it all season, but some of you may be new to the channel and may have missed how I broke down the Clippers team and their roster and just the whole situation. So stick around for that. But also, make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I'm also going to give you my update on what's going on in the Eastern Conference Finals, because right now, the Miami Heat are up 2-0 on the Boston Celtics, and things are getting out of hand for them boys in green. Man, let's go ahead and get into it.
Are you ready?
Man, welcome back to Journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, if you're new on this channel here, you're going to be getting my passionate and in-depth analysis on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Listen, I'm a ballaholic. Absolutely addicted to basketball. But just like everybody, I have my own opinions. But if you like opinions that are backed by facts, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, but also be sure that you tap that bell notification so that you'll be updated whenever I drop new videos, which is every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, man, listen. Game 1 tonight. The Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. This right here is a matchup that not many people predicted. I gotta give credit where credit's due. There was a lot of experts who were calling for the Clippers to win that series. And hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I even thought that the Clippers were gonna win the series. But I gotta give credit to Nick Wright. From the beginning, he has questioned this Clipper team, and he said that the Denver Nuggets were going to beat the LA Clippers. So I gotta give credit where credit's due there. However, we gotta take a deep dive. We gotta really examine what went wrong with this LA Clipper team. Like, from a coaching standpoint, we know that they have a good coach. From a talent standpoint, we know that they had talent. What didn't they have? What was it about this Clipper team of why they didn't get the job done? And I'm going to be very clear. Even though I thought the Clippers were going to make the Western Conference Finals and be able to beat the Denver Nuggets, I was never on them as an NBA champion. Go back and check the tape. The Clippers missed a lot of things that I felt all championship teams had accomplished. Things that make you just look and say, that is a legit championship team. The Clippers didn't have that. They just didn't have that. From the beginning of the season, I said the Clippers needed a better big man. I said that. Zubac, listen, I like him. He was a former Laker. It's not going to get it done. Especially when you come off the bench with Montrezl Harrell. Now listen, I understand Montrezl Harrell had an amazing regular season. But the regular season is just that. It's not the playoffs. The intensity picks up. Teams are able to scheme and really plot to figure out what you're doing. How can they stop what you're doing? Montrezl Harrell just is not going to get it done as your best big man if you want to win a championship team. Remember this, people. Remember this. Every single team that's ever won a championship in the NBA, they have all had a power forward or a center on their roster and in their rotation that has made an all-star or an all-NBA team before the year that they won that championship. The Clippers never had that. And then, after the whole break, they wound up going out and getting Joakim Noah, but they never played him. Now, granted, I'm not saying that Joakim Noah would have been the X factor to change the whole series, but Doc Rivers never even played arguably the best defensive center that they had on their roster when Jokic was going bananas against these boys. You can't win a series when the best two players are on the other team. And that's what happened. Jokic, as well as Jamal Murray, they outplayed Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. There's no question about that. The best two players in this series were those two in Denver. That's just the bottom line. The second thing, and one of the things that I talked about from the beginning of the season, how is a team going to win a championship when you have chemistry issues? They came into the season going set up to have chemistry issues. Why is that? Load management. When you put a new team together, right? You need time, you need reps, you need practices, you need games. You need that opportunity to gel, to mix, to work out different situations, to go through the highs and the lows together. You need that. When Boston Celtics and Doc Rivers won that championship back in 2008, KG, Ray Allen, look at the amount of games those guys played during the regular season together. They didn't miss a lot of games. Coming into it, Kawhi Leonard basically told the Clippers, listen, I'm going to sit out about a quarter of the season. Good luck in those games, but I'll be over here on the sideline. How many games did he actually practice in full when the team was there? Then starting the season, Paul George was going to miss, I think, the first 11 games due to his shoulder surgery. So I knew coming into it that chemistry was going to be a little off. Then the roster construction. When you have Kawhi Leonard as your best player, look at the teams he's won championships with. They had all-star Kyle Lowry, all-star Tony Parker, point guards that could facilitate and set him up to get easy baskets. Who was that guy on the Clippers team that was that elite facilitator? Patrick Beverley, their starting point guard? He's a 3-and-D point guard. He's a point guard that's going to play tough defense, stand in the corner, hit an open shot every now and then. That's not his role, to facilitate and get into the teeth of defense and create easy shots for others. What about Lou Williams coming off the bench? Well, he's going to have the ball in his hands, like, even though he's not a true point guard, but we know he's a score-first ISO player mentality type of guy. What about Reggie Jackson? Same thing. He's not an elite facility. So who was going to be that guy? I said from the beginning of the season, the only way this team had a chance to win is if Paul George took on that Scottie Pippen role and became more of a facilitator instead of a watered-down version of what Kawhi Leonard was. Their styles, their talents, and their games, it duplicated each other. They didn't complement each other. I thought that was a problem from the beginning. So this Denver Nuggets team, listen, these boys right here have the heart of a champ. Even though they're not champions, they got the heart of a champion. They do not give up. They don't care if they're down in the game by double digits. They don't care if they're down in series. They just do not care. This Denver Nuggets team, led by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, they played 4 series in their entire career, those two together. 4 series, and every single one of them has gone 7 games. San Antonio in the first round last year, Portland in the second round last year where they ultimately wound up losing, first round this year, 7 games against Utah, and now 7 games against the LA Clippers. And this year, they came back from a 3-1 deficit twice. No team in NBA history has ever done that. Now, coming into this playoffs and coming into this Western Conference Finals, a lot of people are just dismissing this Nuggets team as if they have no chance, right? And I understand that. But be very careful here. Be very careful. If you're good enough to beat the Utah Jazz, if you're good enough to beat the LA Clippers, you're a legit team. And this Denver Nuggets team, they got a lot of firepower. Think about this for a second. The Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers are doing something that has only happened twice. This will be the second time in NBA history where we had 2 teams meeting in the playoffs, where in the playoffs they had 2 guys averaging 25 plus points per game. I'm going to say that again. The Lakers and the Nuggets are the only team since 1989 and in the history of the NBA that has had 2 guys in the playoffs average 25 plus points in the playoffs. So this is a battle of 2 legit duos. LeBron and Davis versus Joker and Jamal Murray. And this inside-outside duo, I think, is going to be a really big challenge for the Lakers. Keep in mind, what they've gone through is dealing with a dynamic duo in the backcourt in CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard. Then in the second round, they had backcourt dynamic duo of James Harden and Russell Westbrook. And we saw that Houston, they just were no match for the size of the Lakers. Even when the Lakers decided to downgrade and go small, playing small ball and getting rid of JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, they still had no answer for that size. The Nuggets is different. The Denver Nuggets, they got a legitimate 7-foot out there. Jokic is somebody who showed not only can he dominate on the offensive end, even though he's not a Gobert, he's not a Joel Embiid, he's not an elite defensive big man, Jokic is still a legit guy when it comes to being able to play positional defense. And he has some amazing blocks as far as on Kawhi Leonard trying to get to the basket. He was able to get a lot of blocks, especially to close out that game 7. I think he had 3 blocks. He was able to move his feet to get the stops that was necessary. That's what this Denver Nuggets team does. They do what's necessary to get the game and to get the win. Now, why they continue to need to be down 3-1, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But it's something in their psychology, right? Whatever it may be. And I think that they're looking at it right now where you could actually say they're down 3-1 to start this off. Because during the regular season, these two teams played 4 times. And the Lakers won 3 out of those 4. Now, keep in mind, the one game that the Lakers did lose, that the Nuggets won, LeBron James didn't play in that game. So the Lakers have pretty much beat up on the Nuggets all season. But the playoffs are different. I continue to tell people, the playoffs are different. Now, I think one of the things that's going to really favor the Lakers in this matchup is the fact that they've gone against elite guards thus far. They've gone up against Dame. They've gone up against James Harden. So being able to corral Jamal Murray, I don't think it's going to be as big of a challenge as it was for some of these other teams because they have that experience through the first 2 rounds. And they've done it successfully. They swarm him. They make him get the ball out of his hand. They're not going to just allow you to come off that pick and roll and just pull up and shoot. They're going to swarm him. How do they guard the Joker? That's going to be the key. And I think we're going to see, I know we're going to see the Lakers go from that small ball lineup back to that big boy lineup where JaVale McGee's back in that starting lineup. Dwight Howard's coming off the bench and giving them some quality minutes. The Lakers got 3 legit 7-footers they're bringing to be able to combat against the Joker. The Joker, he's really, other than him, what other legit big men do they have to battle against these Laker big boys? Because McGee and Howard are not real offensive threats. They're lob threats, but they're not real offensive threats. Anthony Davis is that problem that the Nuggets are going to have to deal with. Who's going to guard Davis? If Davis is starting at the 4 with McGee at the 5, and McGee is guarding Jokic, and Jokic is guarding McGee, who's guarding Anthony Davis? That's going to be tasked with either Paul Millsap, probably, and or Jeremy Grant. Well, the problem with that is who's also going to guard LeBron James, who's about as big, if not bigger than both of those guys. So those 2 forwards, they're going to have their hands full trying to deal with this Laker duo that to me is playing outstanding basketball. Think about this. The Laker duo of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they just made all-star starters, but not only that, they became teammates to be first-team All-NBA. It's not a lot of teammates to make first-team All-NBA. Let's go back in history. Let's look at the last 40 years since 1980. How many teams have actually had a duo to be first-team All-NBA? You had the Phoenix Suns with Steve Nash and Amar'e Stoudemire. You had Shaq and Kobe who did it. You had Jordan and Pippen. You had Kareem and Magic. You had Dr. J and Moses. How many of those teams actually went on to win a championship? It's only been a couple of them. It's only been 3. That's Moses and Dr. J in 83. You had Jordan and Pippen did it once in 96. You had Shaq and Kobe did it once in 2002. That's it. Over the last 40 years, only 3 duos have made first team All-NBA and also went on to win the championship. The Lakers are trying to become the 4th. When you have that elite duo, it really sets everybody up to just be role players, to be a star in their role. As we see Rondo doing that. As we've seen Dwight Howard do that. As we've seen some of these other guys, Danny Green, KCP, Caruso, Morris. We've seen that. And that's what the Lakers need. Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is going to be an amazingly tough series for the Denver Nuggets. They're not the Clippers that the Nuggets are playing against. The Clippers are easier to strategize and scheme against because they play iso ball. They don't have an elite facilitator out there creating shots for others a lot. That's not the Lakers. They got not 1 but 2. As you see by now, playoff Rondo, which I've been saying all season, that's a real thing. And he showed in that last series against some elite guards that not only can he play offense, he can also still play defense when he wants to. So the Denver Nuggets are going to have to deal with 2 elite facilitators that's going to set up the table for others to be able to catch and shoot. And you got to figure out how to guard LeBron. You got to figure out how to guard Anthony Davis. Listen, as much as I like this Cinderella story, this David versus Goliath, to be honest with you, I'm definitely going Lakers. As I've said all season, I got them going to the NBA Finals. but I think it's going to be relatively easy, man. I got the Lakers in 5. The best shot I think that the Lakers have to win a game in the series is tonight. They got to win tonight. The Lakers have lost the first game in every series thus far. The Nuggets want to win a game, they need to do it tonight. If not, this thing could get real ugly real fast. So, what is the issue and what is not the issue, but what is going on over on the other side of the bracket, right? The Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. This is a series that I had going 7 games. I had the Miami Heat winning this series from the beginning. But I thought the Boston Celtics would put up a better fight. And I think one of the biggest things that I don't like is I think Brad Stevenson is out coaching himself. Like, Eric Spoelstra is a top 5 coach in the game. To me, I think he's probably the 4th best coach in the NBA today. Brad Stevenson is getting out coached, but I think he's out coaching himself. The second round, to get past the Toronto Raptors, he went with Robert Williams. Well, the conference finals come, and you go back to Enes Kanter. Now, Enes Kanter, what he brings is a tough rebounder and a tough high percentage scorer around the basket. That's not what you need, in particular, against this Miami Heat team. You need Robert Williams coming off that bench, continuing to be a shot blocker, continuing to be a solid pick and roll defender. Enes Kanter cannot play in this series. They're going to pick on him and isolate him every single time. And this first half of last night's game, they didn't do that. In the third quarter, as soon as he came in the game, they went right at him. So I think Brad Stevenson's got to make an adjustment there. We have not seen Spo go to a box on one on Kemba Walker, but he's playing zone. And he realized that even from Nick Nurse, when you zone up this Boston team, they have trouble. They have trouble. Kemba Walker's the head of this thing. And right now, as I said in my preview of the series, this series will be decided based on that point guard matchup. I said it. Go back and check the tape. Dragic is outplaying Kemba Walker. The Boston Celtics will not win this series if Dragic continues to outplay Kemba Walker. Bottom line. Jason Tatum, to me, I said he had to be the best player in this series without question. He's had good moments. Game 1, he had a really good, solid game. He's got to be better. He's got to tighten that handle up, too many turnovers, and he's got to be better. He's got to be, listen, Game 1, he did what he was supposed to do. He went hard to the basket. He tried to finish strong. You just got to tip your hat to Bam Adebayo for making an amazing block. One of the greatest blocks we've ever seen in the playoffs. But he's got to be better, man. This entire Boston team's got to be better. Jaylen Brown's got to be better. Marcus Smart's got to be better. The entire team. Boston is not deep. Remember that. I told you that. Boston is not a very deep team, specifically with Gordon Hayward out. So their big 4 that they're relying on, and I'm throwing Marcus Smart into that big 4 because he's played out of his mind on the offensive end in these playoffs, so I'm throwing him into that mix. They've got to be great. They got to outdo the top 4 players from the Miami Heat, and they're not doing that thus far. I said 7. It's not going 7, man. This series is not going 7. The Miami Heat will win this in 6 games at best. If Boston doesn't make some adjustments ASAP or get Gordon Hayward back to give them more depth, to give them more playmaking, to give them more shooting, to give them some more versatility, if he doesn't come back and is able to just hit the ground running, this thing could be over in 5. I don't see a sweep, but I see definitely at the most this thing goes 6 games. I do not like this Boston Celtics team. One of the reasons is similar to why I didn't like the Clipper team. Their big men situation is not good enough. Bam, he has been even though he's one of the best players on Miami, he's been the X factor in both of these games. Game 1 with the game-winning block, Game 2 with the dominant third quarter that switched this whole series up. Listen, Boston's had leads in both of these games, similar to how the Clippers did over the Denver Nuggets. They haven't been able to hold these leads. Miami is similar to Denver in that neither one of these teams are going to get down on themselves when they get down. They're going to keep pushing. They're going to keep coming at you. Those boys are hungry. Those boys got dogs. The Miami Heat, they've got dogs the same way that everybody was talking about the Clippers had dogs. All these dogs the Clippers were supposed to have, the Miami Heat have those dogs over there. And they're coming to play. Coach Spo is coaching his tail off. Jimmy Butler is playing. Bam, Dragic, Tyler Hero. I love what Tyler Hero's doing. That was another key matchup I talked about was Hero versus Marcus Smart. He's playing a legit all-around game. And then they got that X Factor out there, Duncan Robinson, who is just an absolute sniper, man. So listen, that Miami Heat series, like I said, to me, I think it's over. I think Miami Heat will win that in 6. But what do you think? Who do you have winning that Eastern Conference matchup? Also, this Laker-Denver, are you giving the Nuggets any chance? Do you give the Denver Nuggets any chance to win more than a game? Do you even see it going 6, 7? Can they get to a point where they could potentially beat the Lakers? Let me know in the comment section below. Listen, I appreciate you for taking a look at this video. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and click the logo right here. If you missed my video where I broke down who's going to win the 2020 championship and why, click the box right here on the screen. Listen, stay safe out there in those streets, and remember, we still demand justice for Breonna Taylor and Jacob Blake. Peace.